Hello, hello. Hope everybody is having a wonderful day, a wonderful night, wherever you are. I'm here for another episode round with Mike, aliencarvings.com. And last I talked to you, you were in the process of acquiring and purchasing a couple of the mummies from the supposed same mummies, ancient alien mummies that were in the Mexican Senate or Congress or Capitol hearing, whatever it was. And do you want to tell us about the latest updates and what you got going on, my friend?
Yeah, we purchased a couple of them, and the seller down there, he dressed them up and like little dolls, I guess you could call them, or something of that nature. He put clothes on them and sent them through DHL, and the DHL contacted the seller, and they said that they had confiscated the mummies. And the next day on their like Good Morning America, I think you have a video actually that you can show, but they confiscated them and x-rayed them right there on national TV. So and you can show that. It's in Spanish, but you'll get the idea. Maybe. I can't hear you.
En Nazca, en Perú, que iban a ser enviadas a México. Las piezas, muy similares a las mostradas por Jaime Maussan, estaban camuflajeadas con vestidos de colores, como si se trataran de muñecas compradas en un mercado como souvenir, ¿no?
Los funcionarios del aeropuerto notaron algo muy extraño en las imágenes de los rayos X. Se las incautaron a quienes las estaban portando, ya que incluso podrían tratarse de piezas prehispánicas, patrimonio precisamente de ese país.
Sí, estaban cubiertas con una ropa de plástico y también con algunos encajes. Se visualizaba restos presuntamente arqueológicos, restos humanos, que habrían estado alterados con algunos metales al interior. El delito sería la extracción de bienes culturales. La sanción puede ser entre 6 a 8 años de pena privativa.
Las autoridades también informaron que iniciaron ya una investigación para determinar si las figuras realmente son patrimonio cultural del Perú y dónde fue que las encontraron.
Can't hear you, Bernie. I think you might be muted, buddy.
Sorry.
There we go.
Sorry, I didn't know I was muted there. Okay. But yeah, so this is amazing because this is a first mover, precedent-setting case that now your investment is getting tested by the Peruvian government, and that they arrested the guy that sent this out, so that essentially means they're verifying that it is legitimate, that these things, they're treating them as archaeological or anthropological, biological entity, real, and no longer as frauds, fakes, and
the X-rays were pretty hard to argue that those were constructed out of human and animal bones. You know, there was many articulated bones and things put together that you would not be able to fake on an X-ray at that degree. And so it definitely correlates with Jaime Maussan's release in terms of what they X-rayed there for the Mexican government. And it's you know, obviously they're the same type of looking being. So yeah, it should set a precedence for sure. This gentleman, he's being held. They're threatening him with 6 to 8 years, and they sent it off to the University of Lima to be tested for carbon dating and hopefully DNA testing. You know, I think that carbon dating is obviously going to come back old, but you know, what exactly is it would really have to determine the charge, because it's not a human or an animal.
Absolutely right. And it's like, oh man, if it's if they don't muck around with it and give it an honest, real scientific like scrutiny and publishing, and because it seems that they always, for some reason, the results are inconclusive, or the samples disappear. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. In this case, it's going to be a lot harder to go missing as it's been on the news, and if they lie and say it's animal or something of that nature again, and then they prove that wrong later, these people's jobs and credibility and Peru as a country will be really on the line. So the credibility here is insane.
Absolutely. And so these ones were in Peru, and then the original ones where the case was in Mexico. So it was like
Mexico was the one who heard it. Peru refused it and said that they were false. And so Jaime Mossam is obviously in Mexico and has connects there. And so when he got these and did all the tests on them in Mexico, and they came back with conclusive, DNA and everything that was 30% unknown, and all these other tests came back positive from many, many good labs. They agreed to hear it in Mexico because Mexico has these as well. Dr. Pablo Garcia Sanchez, he's come out with numerous bodies that look very similar, but much more. I've got some pictures on our feed, but nonetheless, it's it's dehydrated the exact same way, and so I think that's kind of what they're looking at, is that they're trying to open it up to where they're not just the only ones coming out with it,
And that's the way it needs to be.
Yeah.
Julia, you're muted, dear. If you've been trying to say something, and welcome.
Good evening. So these are from Peru?
No, the bodies that we.
Yeah, the bodies. Yes, absolutely. These ones. So these guys right here. That. Let's see if I can replay it. Just even muted. So Mike had purchased these to ship them up to try to, get them for us to test and do some scrutiny of. And yeah, so these are the two that. Were those the Mexican ones they just showed, or yours after they had undressed them?
They were the Mexican ones there on the side by side.
Okay, yeah, those were the original. Oh, that was that X-ray, though, is what the box was of them.
That was of the box. Yeah, that's the DHL.
Those were of yours.
Correct. Yeah, I was definitely getting real ones.
So this is the X-ray of what you had purchased.
Yeah, those are them. Yep, we have multiple pictures of them being dressed, movies of them, all kinds of stuff. The wire transfer. I'm going to be publishing all that in my book here coming out next year.
This is the big one right here, and that it's a precedent-setting case, because all the artifacts
also,
that you have.
You can see those two blue things. They had surgical implants on them of metal as well.
I was just noticing that has to be metal within it, right?
Absolutely. Yep. So it's going to be really great. I mean, it really sucks to lose out on something like that, but at the same point, this is why I bought them, was to research them, and so to have someone as if they do a good job, I'll be really, really thankful that I did this purchase. If they lie about it, it's going to be really unfortunate, but I don't think that they can after seeing this picture that you're showing right now. Like, this is really hard to fake that.
Yeah, right. And cut the official of what just who the shipping was, and
so they have implants inside of them.
Yeah, and they're so precisely laid that we don't have the surgical technology to lay an implant like that into a body today.
It's 1:11 a.m. where I am, and sorry, just to say also though, the fact that another precedent-setting aspect of it is that, all the 600 artifacts you have, the epicness right here that you've got next to you of all of that they claim that those are fakes, frauds, forgeries, and they're legal to sell because of that. And the fact that they actually arrested the man that was shipping you and got you this guy right here means that they're claiming that this is 100% authentic as far as they believe.
Well, no, they haven't charged him yet. So they're holding him without bail, but there hasn't been an official charge yet because they sent it to the University of Lima to be researched to make sure. Because if it's human remains, it's a different charge than if it's an alien, and I don't think there really will be a charge if it's an alien. He'll probably be let go, and it'll set a precedence, like you said, and then future cases will obviously hold a penalty, I would imagine. But yeah, if it's human remains and they found that he made a forgery somehow, then he would be held liable for those ancient remains if they are indeed ancient.
And if it's a fake, then they just let him go, and you'd be like, all right, well, that whole thing was bunk, and that you would have paid $15,000 to essentially debunk the, if they're the same, from the same source as the Mexican hearing ones, but are we for sure on that?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, in fact, I've got some stuff I'll be publishing as well in my book that we've taken. There's a hand and a head that made it successfully to my good friend in France, and he was kind enough to wash all of the white stuff off, and underneath it is absolutely insane. Definitely not no paper mache. It looks alien. It's a crazy looking bone. I'm really excited. I haven't been. I really wanted to have some stuff in my book that's special, so that's going to be one of it.
I'd be interested in looking into the implants and testing that.
And the research, the 78 gigs that Mexico released there during that congressional hearing, they gave access to all that data. You can go download it, and it's all in Spanish, so be prepared to that. But regardless, all of the implants and how they're laid and the 0.01 micron that it's precisely put in there, all that stuff is really shown well there. So.
And sorry, just responding to the chat, prayers are with Dutch Sense. I do not know what's going on. I actually want a proof of life, because last he did publish publicly, he was mentioned and cut off the video that he was and his family were being threatened. And then now coming out today, 2 weeks later, with one video that's not even his voice, just like some auto-tuned thing, and him saying it was his last video ever and that he was quitting. And that's sketchy, and prayers are with him. And it's just crazy days, everything that is happening.
Yeah.
But just to go on and show, here we have modern humans, Neanderthal, and Denisovan. There we go, Denisovan. That's how you say it. And that looks pretty elongated, skulled, and giant compared to us, right? And do we have Anunnaki, Nephilim, elongated skulls than us? And what's going on? It seems to depict exactly what your carbon show.
Yeah, and what you see in Egypt too, in terms of Akhenaten and Nefertiti. I mean, their heads are very oddly shaped, and their eyes are also very oddly shaped in terms of supporting, that sort of argument, I guess. I mean, to some extent, and what's interesting about these pieces that we're finding is, you see the typical gray. In this case, it's a duality depiction where it's a scaled and a non, what that, I don't know if it's reptilian. He's holding DNA, but then you also have other types as well, like these little guys here. And you can see every one of these is really different.
Right, and they truly do resemble from different ones that I've seen, especially on this Vlad9 channel. Vlad9, I forget the exact name. Russian guy, been showing all sorts of parts and megalithic stuff from around the world forever. And it's there's many figures like that from Africa, from Siberia, from like Easter Island to Hawaii to New Zealand. They're everywhere, right? And
absolutely. Yeah, so I think that, you know, some of the stuff that the maybe that in these ancient texts that we see are possibly true about this flood or an existence before us, you know. And I think with the Neanderthals and what you just showed, you know, there's obviously a sign of that happening in our past, in the fossil record. So what does that mean? I mean, full way through, that's just what we know, right? So it means it's happened. There's been an extinction type event before that killed off the Neanderthals, because we have still remnants of them in our DNA, but there's no purebred Neanderthals or anything close to it at this point, you know?
Or were they the Sasquatch, or were they the demigods, or were they the in-betweens? And, you know, do they still exist, like, in another dimension, off-world, underground, in spaceships, who, you know, dark side of the moon, who knows? Just throwing ideas out there.
Yeah, oh yeah. Inspiration comes from interesting places.
Yes, please do show more of this black, like, and the black light, it's like, just, it's fascinating how it's ingrained into the material.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really strange, and it's in the material in so many different ways too. Like, here, I'll show some. I mean, those ones you can see just in this crystal here.
Right, like it's within the entire crystal. It's
like the crystal itself, and then there's inlay too. You can see that, like, it chunks up and stuff. You can tell it's not perfect either. Like the way.
Wait, go back to the crystal. I want to see the symbol.
Yeah, please focus on each one a little longer, Mike. Because key parts for people to be able to pause and go back to, and like for each one that you never know which dot's going to get connected by someone out there seeing a runic symbol or different pictographic symbol that they recognize a phrase or sentence, right? And all of a sudden you start decoding.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a couple of alchemy symbols I just recognized on your crystal. So there we go. There's Saturn on there, and
yeah, no, there's a lot of real Saturn is depicted on everything, but you know, a lot of things of. I'll show you here. You know, like this thing here with like the sun, I guess, maybe, or with the rays coming down from the sphere itself.
Oh, that looks like, yeah.
This language right here is really interesting. It almost reminds me of Greek in some ways, but
right, there's lots I've noticed throughout these different artifact finds that often it's Proto-Greek, Proto-Sumerian, Proto-Egyptian, and a couple others in there. It's crazy.
But it's what you'd want to see.
It's exactly what you want to see. It just blows the mind.
Yeah, and the way it's expressed and the way it's used is the very, very peculiar part to me, because it seems like it has a real purpose. You know, you can see on this chessboard here, you know, each square has a symbol. The entire board glows. It's really amazing. Here, I'll turn the light on so you can see what it looks like normally. But what's really interesting is, like, on this board, you can see here.
Just the detail is insane in every single one's originality, and
yeah, each piece is just, you know, intricately carved. It's all done out of calcite.
It reminds me of this realm, you know, like if they're able to influence humans and interact and mess with their genetics the way that the game of life is being played by different entities and different beings here. Just reminds me of that. Like chess, like a game of chess that we don't even know the rules of.
Of angels and demons, right?
And what's interesting is you see the angels playing the game here.
Ooh, I like that.
You're saying the pieces were calcite, and then, like...
Yeah, this is a dominant calcite material here. And then, it glows red under the black light with the phosphorescence.
Does the other one glow blue, the one that it's playing against?
No, it's a green.
Okay.
But I guess...
Red and green, that's... Dude, wow.
Every piece has unique symbology, and, it's...
And that one's
the way
made
I
out
looked
of
at
what?
these things, it's like, man.
The one that glows green is made out of what?
This stone here is it's a flint stone, and it's high in calcite and quartz.
Okay.
And that's what a lot of these pieces here are made out of. It's all this flint stone, and they all have phosphorescent reactions. Some of them have luminescent reactions. Like you can see this here. I'll show you. There's really nothing you can see on the surface. It doesn't have any, thing that looks like it was painted on or anything by any means. When you hit this thing with the UV, it glows blue and green. It's crazy though, interesting slab of stone. It's still glowing.
Which piece is your favorite, Mike?
I mean, it really just depends, because, it's like saying which fruit is your favorite, or, something of that nature. It's hard, because, good fruit can be good of all different kinds. So, there's such a variety of these type of pieces, it's really hard. I like the jade stuff, though. Holding it at least, little pieces like this are awesome. This piece here is really, really special. I think we talked about this last time, actually.
Yes, sir. If you want to go over it again, though, like each one
this is like a
story. They're just mind blowing.
It has like a resemblance to a jed pillar in Egyptian type belief, because it's each one of these little things is spaced out, really interesting, and it's a triangle. Let's see if I can get that to focus. But the energy that this thing puts off is just absolutely unreal.
One of those things you can only experience, right? Seeing it, hearing someone else's story, but until you actually hold it or in its aura, the energy, and experience the energy, the feel of it, I know what you mean, my friend.
There was 10 things all wrapped up in a box when we unopened these things, and they were all shrink wrapped. And I knew which one this was before I even opened it. It just had, I don't know, it's crazy. You just feel it in the room. It just vibrates at a whole different level. But this table that was found here as well, you can see over here. There we go. Oh, there he is. He's holding it in his hand there.
It's every single one is an original piece, and that you're collecting all parts of just an entire set of history is absolutely insane, and that you truly do appreciate what you have, and that your goal is to one day to be able to get it all studied and into recognition and stuff, right? It's just
exactly. Yep. I hope to make a gallery or a museum, because right now the museums and galleries won't hold this stuff, and the room that I'm in right now is really not a great place for this type of stuff. It's not set up with the right type of fire or security and all that stuff.
That looks like one of the wristwatch things that they wear, and then you also have the baggy things that they are holding, and it's Wow, if you actually acquire like a full set of this ancient alien demigod technology that we could somehow activate, like, my god.
Just makes me wonder if they were mimicking something that they were, that they witnessed or was exposed to, and this was their version of it,
Yeah, is it the version of it, or is it actually what's being depicted is the question. And then you also have this thing, it's a lot of it's calcite and things. This calcite similarity is really kind of crazy because we have calcite inside of us, and it plays a really vital role in our spiritual consciousness. So the fact that all these pieces are so dominant in that, and this pine cone is shown, being held and utilized almost like pointing to people's heads. Same with the Ankh in Egypt. That there could be something to that. The Stone Age is a pretty odd time.
Is that a jade mask?
It is.
Wow.
Right? Like it's identical to the one the controversial one in China that's like got 1,000 of them that look just like that. It also looks Olmec, like it's just wow.
Yeah, I hope to get this carbon dated because it's got adhesive as well as this wood, and the wood will obviously tell us a very, very vivid picture. I don't have very many wood specimens at all. In fact, this is the one of two that we have, so I'm going to actually set this over here so you can see it. But the way it's put together is just... Oops, sorry.
And sorry,
there's
where
no
were
lens for the eyes? It doesn't go through, like, to where you can see through the eyes? Like
no, it's wood, and you can see it's kind of like there's like blood or something here that's all dried, but you can see it's very discolored. This mask stunk so bad when I got it. I couldn't even keep it in the house, and it just literally made everything stink. Your hands touching it, it was the grossest thing. It doesn't stink anymore very much, luckily, but
it's like probably a death mask, eh? Like,
no. I mean, the story that goes behind this thing is, in Tula Hidalgo, there's a property there that a farmer owns. He's a potato farmer.
Sorry, and that's where all of these are from, or the majority of what you're showing right now, and
yeah, Tula Hidalgo, which is where the pyramid of Quetzalcoatl is where the Atlantean statues stand, and essentially the property, there's this heritage site, and it's got a big concrete fence that goes all the way around it, and that's the border of the pyramid and the site that the government takes as heritage. So outside of that is farmers' property. They do potato farming, and this potato farmer, when he would till his fields, he would find pieces, and he turned them in for years. Nothing ever came of it, and in fact, they called him a liar and said that he was making them and that he needed to stop. And it really pissed him off, and so he gave permission to Gen 6 to come in and do GPR and georadar, and they found all kinds of stuff, and inevitably they found multiple tombs on this property. Some of them go all the way down to the 14-foot level into the ancient bedrock, and it's absolutely crazy to see, because there's aliens and angels and this type of depiction, Anunnaki type depictions carved into this bedrock, and but the tomb.
And I know it's shocking for those that are like, it's too good to be true and that it's nonsense and stuff, and like that was Mike's original like reaction to it, and like all of ours, it's like it's just
Here,
it's too
for
good
the
to be
for the
true,
fluorescent
like,
glue guy here. I wanted to show. Here's the piece with the black light. There's obviously no fluorescent glue here.
and the fact that for those that are just seeing this and hearing this for the first time, like Mike was the one that discovered that these things were all like glow in the dark, UV reactive, phosphorescent, and had been buying. You had owned how many of them at that point for like a year or two, and like the guys you had been getting them off it were completely unaware of it up until that point.
Yeah, this was the first one here that had any luminescent that anyone knew about or was able to discover, and down here, this one actually has enough oomph that you'll watch here when I turn the light off. It just takes normal light and you'll see it. And so that was the big giveaway. And on the other side of it,
I have a question. Mike, did anything like negative happen to you? Because I have like, just in the relic world and things that are attached to things and everything. I was just wondering if anything, you had any paranormal experiences after getting specific pieces or feeling spiritually attacked or...
No, I haven't. But the gentleman who filmed the documentary, Jesse, he absolutely has had quite an amount of stories and documentation regarding
is he the one that goes in and gets it? Because I feel like there's things that are sacred and there's things that when you're the one to like grave rob or do that, you're toying.
It's just like King Tut's doing the Curse of the Pharaohs and stuff. Yeah, I mean there's a lot of conspiracy regarding that topic for sure.
I feel that too, and I also feel that you treat them with the utmost respect and intent, so it's like, if there's was or is that luckily won't hopefully affect yourself, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, that's just it. When I saw what this stuff was, I was immediately, I said it was fake, and I told my buddy that I could prove it fake, and I set out to do so, and it turned out to be a much more challenging mission than I ever imagined, and it's taken me to this point now where I'm writing a book about it because it's just an insane story, honestly. I mean, I still wake up and it's hard to believe, but at the same point, I've gone to such extents in terms of researching this that it's also hard to not believe it now because I've seen things that I know are not something that someone could fake in terms of the exact same depictions on the wall of down 14 foot into the bedrock, a full entire complex of tunnels and rooms and just dozens and dozens of these pieces being found in there. It's all been documented now, and Gaia's involved. Next month at the Stairway to the Stars event in Las Vegas, they're going to debut this. So you'll hear about it, I would imagine, around then. And I think it's coming out in January, the full thing. So. But if you're in the Las Vegas area,
to that, and that also, like you said, you've got Scott Wolter writing the foreword for your book on all of this, and that one of my ultimate goals with your endeavor is to try to help you find some labs and actual science equipment to do the actual testing, because you're willing to give samples and pieces of all of your artifacts to be tested, to scrutinize, and to either prove or disprove their authenticity.
Yeah, 100%. That's just my only goal, is the truth at this point. I mean, if I find out they're all fake and I can prove that, then awesome. It's still great art, and I don't mind collecting it. I've collected worse things like baseball cards and stuff that could have no value tomorrow.
That's a good point.
At least this stuff looks cool.
Hey, I don't know what you're talking about collecting art and all of that.
No, I've always made good money on them. I still have some, but I'm just saying, like, in comparison, when I open a pack of baseball cards versus a box of these artifacts, the feeling I get is so much different. It's much more rewarding for sure.
Because regardless, you're educating people to deep dive and take a deeper look at the history, and then you're studying symbols, you're studying ancient history, you're looking into it from a different perspective.
Yeah,
so,
it's opened up a lot of different avenues that I never even really took into consideration, and even things of the biblical nature and different ancient texts, things that just stood out maybe more now than they used to. Different artist renditions from the past and stuff. It's pretty wild how it all kind of connects,
Yes, it's very spiritual.
Yeah. Yeah, and Scott Wolter, he's going to be displaying one of our schools. I'll show you guys the schools that we're researching. This was one of the things that took me, it was 2 years ago roughly when I got the first one, which is this one here on the left. This is a photograph I took of a few, and I've got one of these specimens right here, the one in the middle. Let's see. I'll bring it over to the light. But these things are pretty wild, you know. We showed them to multiple bone experts. Scott Woltar did, and at the PhD level, and you know, immediately they threw out suggestions based on the pictures. But once they handled it, they ruled out anything. You know, they said maybe a cow or maybe something like that. You know, but that was the closest they got. And because of its weight, it's very light, and because of its strength, the bone expert said that this bone right here, if they were to saw down a cow, would be extremely fragile. And the strength on these things is
just like the bone that Lloyd Pye had of what he called the Star Child skull, and then it also Samir Asmanovic with the Bosnian pyramids, Dr. Sam, Julia has pictures of at that last alien event that you were at together, that he was presenting, I believe, pictures of skulls identical looking to what you're showing right now.
Very similar, yeah. I'll pull up the picture.
And that's a good point you just brought up too, how they're similar. You know, this picture shows it well. Every one of these is drastically different. You know, their structures, the way that this comes down, like they're very unique. Some of them have these things coming off, some don't. And you know what we found on these pieces. Let me turn on the light here so I can show this. But you can see, you know, some of these guys have tentacle type things coming out of their face. And then there's other ones depicted here. And you can see this one's braided. This one almost has like some sort of clothing or garment on it, with his headpiece or something. But it seems like they're trying to keep their tentacles tucked in or in a fashionable sense, which is kind of crazy that they would go to that extent regarding a facial.
So yeah, here's the what.
Oh wow. Yeah, very similar. Interesting.
Wait, is it not focusing?
It's almost decent.
I just fixed mine from doing that.
But you know what I found very interesting about the cow mutilations is how did you guys know that with the cow mutilations, there's never been one cow mutilation on that sacred cow from India, not one. So whatever's doing this is upholding some sort of spiritual, you know, that like they're, to me, that acknowledges it and proves it. Like there's some type of code that is being respected there.
Yeah.
And
on a global level too, you know?
Yeah, not one in the world.
Yeah.
We don't take any skepticism negatively. Like, we are all just as skeptical and curious and fascinated, and also just the appreciation of the quality of artwork that it is, whatever it is, right? Like, it's epic stuff.
There's a whole nother level. I've collected art for years, gems and minerals. I've gone to a lot of rock shows. You know, that's where these were found first, was down in the Tucson Gem Show. There was a vendor down there that had them, and you know,
came across my desk.
Right, well, like, that's a challenge. Please do try to find out if any of these artifacts have been used in a movie, because I haven't seen them so far, and I think the only movie they've been in so far are the ones that you've shared where they were getting dug out of those tombs down in Mexico, and the ones that Mike streamed of them, from what I've seen so far.
But to what they said in their defense, so when I started collecting these, I got this green piece right here. And it's got a royal type egg inside of it, and you know, this thing all comes apart. Well, on the back of this guy, you know, it looks like a straight typical xenomorph right out of the movie Alien. And I thought immediately, just this is BS, you know. There's no way there's that thing on there. And so, you know, a couple months later, this Gen 6 documentary was being filmed, and they pulled this thing out of the ground. It looked very, very similar. And I mean, this is from like the 8-foot level. This thing weighs 70 pounds out of calcite. So that was really odd to see it, and I've seen it multiple times since then as well from this area. So it's really strange, You know, and then in their defense too, this is, I mean, looks straight out of the movie Contact. You know, with what is it?
Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster. Yeah, yeah. With a crazy amount of detail. It's got the flower of life, and seems like it was used for maybe burning an incense or something. They even went to the extent of
Proto-Sumerian, Proto-Runic in the carving language.
Yeah, it definitely has cuneiform influence, but it's different. I'll show you something in relation to that here too. You know, there's these star maps here, and these have similar stuff to the ones that were found in Iraq.
Yeah, those are just fascinating. We need to get them dated and stuff.
This one here has language on the back of it, and it seems really interesting.
That's interesting, that symbol up on the top.
This is a lot of the common stuff that we see, is these little hashtags with this sort of male, female, maybe type depiction. I'm not sure.
The one at the very top on the right is seen in many different ancient languages. See the one at the top where it's the, oh no, that one's, it's a little different. Never mind. I thought there was lines coming out of the triangle with the other line.
There's also this small tablet here found with this one, and it's almost like what's on the back of this, but in a different fashion.
Okay, I want to check that one out. That tablet.
Some sort of math or something.